What Harley should you buy? Should you even buy one? Let's talk about it inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. So recently I've got a series of emails sent to me asking about what would be the right choice for a motorcycle for a particular person, let's say, or indeed what would be the best Harley to ride. Now, on the face of it, you might say, well, that's a bit of an odd question, because it really is a subjective thing. It really depends on you as an individual, what your preferences are, whether you're into sports bikes, whether you're into cruisers, when you're into adventure bikes, off-road bikes, whatever. It really depends what you like. You may not even care so much about the style. You just want a bike for commuting that's going to be reliable, economical, all that sort of stuff. So it's a hard one to answer. So whilst on the one hand it's actually an odd question, on the other hand it's actually a very sensible question, because you want to find out which is the best bike for you, and you're asking advice. You want to ask the masses out there and say, well, what do you think? What is the best for you? So if you ask somebody else, they can say, well, the best bike for me is this bike. I love my Harley. I love my Softail. I love my Tourer, my CVO, whatever it is. I love my Kawasaki, my Suzuki. You know, the list goes on. And everybody has their own opinion, and everybody has their own take of what is the best motorcycle. But they're talking from a purely personal point of view. Very rarely can we be objective. Now, I could be objective about certain types of motorcycles which I've ridden. I can be quite dismissive of other types that I've ridden, and also other ones that I haven't ridden. But that's just my opinion. All I could say is probably that the best motorcycle for you is the one that suits your needs the most, and the one that you like the appearance of. Because having a motorcycle, just like having a favourite car, is much about the riding experience in our case, as it is about the connection, the aesthetic appeal of a motorcycle. You may like the sports bike type bikes, the crotch rockets, whatever you want to call them. You may like the smaller compact sports bikes or the bigger sports bikes. You may like the ones that are really nimble in the bends, that are great on the racetrack. Or you might not be interested in anything like that at all. You may want to take it off-road and maybe ride some dirt trails. Or you maybe want to just be, cruising around, and you like the sound of a big throaty V12 popping down the road and just getting lots of stares from anybody who just happens to see you riding it. It's a purely individual thing. But what I would say is that you've got to find this bike that fits you. Now, first of all, you've got to, if there's one safety aspect you've got to consider, is physically, do you fit the bike? Does the bike fit you? Can you reach all the controls properly? Can you handle the weight? And I've spoken about this in previous videos as well. It really depends you, again, personally, on your mobility, on potentially your age and mobility related. It depends on your personal strength. It depends on your physical dimensions. If that bike fits you. Do you feel comfortable on the bike? Certain bikes, let's say for taller riders, makes it rather uncomfortable, especially sports bikes. It's heavy on the wrists. You can get back pains. Very hard on the hips as well. For shorter riders, it's not as bad. But for big bikes, let's say big cruiser bikes, then having a shorter rider, it may not suit them. It may suit a bigger person with a longer reach, for example, longer legs, that actually fit the controls. Now, we're talking about standard bikes here. So if the bike doesn't quite fit you, then can you change that bike, modify that bike with a different set of handlebars, maneuvering the foot pegs, that kind of thing, changing the seat height, so that the bike fits you. These are the questions that you need to ask. But first and foremost, you need to decide what kind of bike you want and what you want to use it for. Is it going to be commuting? Is it going to be enjoyment? Is it going to be a social thing to go riding out with your friends? All that kind of stuff. Or is it going to be like a thing that you want for speed and you want to take it to the racetrack every now and again to have a bit of fun? These are the things. Then you need to say, okay, now I need to look within that genre of bikes, one particular bike that really appeals to me. And ultimately, you need to go and test ride it. I cannot stipulate or say more than that. You need to go and test ride a bike, and you need to ignore everything that anybody else says about that bike. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It doesn't matter what my opinion is of your bike. Now, if you ask me, I'll always say, yeah, it's a really nice bike, and good for you. But it may not be my kind of bike. But for you, that's what you've got to concentrate on. You've got to figure, is this bike right for me? Now, that does not mean to say that that bike that you choose will be right for you forevermore. You may grow out of it. And indeed, let's say if you've just recently passed your test, you may pick a bike, let's say, I don't know, let's stick to Harley Davidson's, for example. You might pick a Sportster, like an 883, something like that. And within a year or so, you think, you know what, I've outgrown this. And this happens quite a lot. It's a great bike to start off with because it's relatively low powered, but it's still got a good power to weight ratio. It's small, compact. It's easier to ride, especially for newer riders. But it could easily get limiting very quickly. But this doesn't just apply to Harley Davidson. You can apply any manufacturer with any entry-level bike. You'll often find that you'll outgrow it quite quickly. So be prepared for that. Be prepared that your first bike that you get, you may not keep very long. It's very hard when you first start riding to know what kind of bike you like. In fact, in many ways, ask any rider around the world and they never can quite make up their minds, especially because your attitude changes, your taste changes as you keep on getting older or ride more bikes. So having the bike that fits for you and suits your lifestyle at that moment in time is probably the best way to go. And that will be the best bike for you. And if it's a Harley, that'll be the best Harley for you. But go and try a load of bikes. Don't just stick to one brand. Try a vast array of bikes. Go into the dealerships and be honest with them and ask them and say, look, I'm looking for a bike. What would you recommend? And a good salesman will always listen to you and listen to what your needs are and will ask you questions. And he'll be asking these kind of questions. If they don't ask you that kind of questions, then my advice to you is walk away. Because they're not interested in getting a bike that is suitable for you. They're just interested in getting a sale. And that's not what you want. Because ultimately you'll end up with a bike that doesn't suit you. Discuss it with friends, go online, look at different forums, that kind of thing. But that's, again, it's other people's opinions. You need to find a bike that is appealing for you and whether you want to be seen on that bike. There are lots of bikes to choose on. There are lots of styles to choose from. But only you will know, ultimately, in the end, which is the best bike for you. So I thought it was an odd question when they were sent to me, but actually I can fully understand the dilemma. I can fully understand the hesitation by some people who are really not sure what bike they should go for, or whether they should trade in one particular bike and go for another type of bike. Only you will know that at the end of the day. But if you've got any other information, other tips, any ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you think. It might be something that I've missed. It might be something that is purely individual to you. But let me know in the comments. If you need it for off-road adventures or the Grand Tour, for example, why? Why did you choose a particular bike over, let's say, another bike? There is no right or wrong answer here. I think there is just only making a good choice or a bad choice for you. That same decision might be the perfect choice for somebody else. For another person, it might be the worst decision. It is purely a subjective thing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. It's a point of discussion at least, but please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Cheers now.
RevelatorAlf.